right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, no matter what time of day that you are tuning in. This is Ask the Experts, and we are happy to have you here with us. And so we are celebrating Life Insurance Awareness Month this month on our podcast. And so I'm super excited about it. We're going to talk about some of the misconceptions, some of the pros and cons, and answer some of your concerns and questions centered around life insurance. What is it all about and why we should have it? So a little bit about who Ask the Experts are. We are a podcast program where we bring education to the community. We ask that you like, share, comment, rewatch, replay the podcast anytime you get a chance. It helps us to reach more people. We can only do so much by ourselves, but together we can do so much more. And I am Candy Martin from martinbusinesssolution.com. You can go there, find out more about what it is that I do, but I offer financial education, I do financial services, as well as business consulting and all things centered around finances. So I would love to have you visit my website. Check me out. I have free consultations, and guess what? We're going to dive right into it. I have 3 experts with us today. I'm super excited about it. I am going to take my time and introduce them all properly, as I always do. But I just got to tell you who these 3 people are and why I have them on today. So personally, they are my business partners. We have locked arms on different projects or different things, and we will be doing more in the future together. And so the reason why I have them on today is because I know that they are going to give us honest, true information. They are concerned about their communities as well. They have integrity. They're going to put their best foot forward. And I am super excited because I have some icebreaker questions for them. And then if you've been watching the show at any time, they get all nervous because they have no idea what I'm going to ask them. And so to me, that's one of my favorite parts about the show. All right, so as I said, we are doing Life Insurance Awareness Month for the month of September, and we're going to have a conversation centered around understanding life insurance. Not death insurance, but life insurance. All right, and so I am going to go ahead and get started and introduce my first panelist, and her name is Miss Ann McDowell. She is a financial wellness coach for Thrive and Rome. I love that Thrive and Rome, so I'm going to ask her all about that in a little bit. So Miss Ann has Thrive and Rome, and she also has a podcast called Thrive and Prosper, which I like that too. And in that, she talks about wealth and wellness as a personal growth, that each episode offers real talk on financial literacy. So I know I'm going to be tuning in, and health and living life of abundance. And she is featured on iHeartRadio, Spotify. I think that Apple is on here as well. So I'm going to let Miss Ann, I'm going to ask her icebreaker question. And she's like, oh my God, what is she going to ask me? I can see it in her eyes. All right, and so after I ask the question, she's gonna have a little time to talk about who she is and what it is that she does, and then we'll get right into her first question. And then once I've had an opportunity to introduce all 3 panelists, we will go into our conversation portion. All right, so let me do something really quick on the technology side. All right. All right, Miss Ann, so you got to pick a number between 1 and 4 to get your icebreaker question.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. I'll go with number 3.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, it says, all right, what superpower would you rather have and why?
Ooh.
You got Wonder Woman,
Considering how much I love like Marvel comics and DC comics, this should be an easy one. But if I had which superpower?
like I'm gonna do the Jeopardy music.
I'm just gonna say Superman.
Okay, so you
And
want to fly or the strength? Which one?
Or the
oh,
X-ray.
well, he has all of those powers, right? So
You gotta
Superman.
pick one. You gotta pick one though. Which superpower? Ooh, the X-ray, I like that one.
Oh,
Ooh, we could win the lottery if we could do that one, huh?
uh,
Uh,
I'll go with the power. I'll go with the power.
Which one?
His
X-ray, strength. What else could he do? He could fly.
Well, he could also kind of read minds, right? Not read minds, but he could sense, like
Mm-hmm.
he had a heightened awareness for everything. So
Okay. So
I'd go with that. Just
all
the
right.
ability to, to protect the ones that I love, and just protect others from any hurt, harm, and danger.
Okay. All right. So Miss Protector. All right, Miss Ann. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about why financial literacy is so important to you because you have this podcast. So kind of tell us a little bit about it.
Even before the podcast, Candy, and let me just take a moment to thank you for reaching out to me to be a part of this panel, amazing panel today. I was quite shocked to see your text message come through, but grateful nonetheless. So
Oh,
thank you all for allowing me to be here with you. So financial literacy is so important on so many levels. Before the podcast, before the business, there were some things that have occurred in my life that are extremely emotional, and that's why when we think about the importance of financial literacy, I think about it from a wellness perspective, right? Because life insurance is, in honor of life insurance, it's often a very stigmatized, very
mm,
taboo conversation, right?
yes. Yes.
Especially in the Black community, because it
Right.
forces people to confront, uncomfortable topics like death, like financial vulnerability, and long-term planning. And so when I think about it as a way to, to heal some traumatic wounds, right?
Right.
There's a lot that comes from it, but sometimes we all know that when we don't get to a root of an issue, right, it can kind of snowball, repeat that vicious cycle. So
Right.
when I think about it, I think about how it improves my life from a wellness perspective. So, financial literacy is just one piece of it, right? But it's overall well being. And we know that that's a huge part of why a lot of people aren't well today.
Right, right. Yes, it directly correlates with your health. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
absolutely.
stressed about bills, that body feels the stress. So
Oh,
I
yeah, every
it,
bit of it, every bit of it.
yeah.
So, it took for me, always being cognizant of the importance of financial literacy, already having some practices in place and things that I
Mhm.
was doing well, but then there were some things that I wasn't doing well. And then it took for the loss of a couple of loved ones, for me to really fully arrive at where I'm at now in terms
Right.
of that heightened awareness and knowledge around the importance of it, and not just the knowing but also the doing.
Ooh, that's a good point. I'm gonna write that down. Not just knowing, but doing. All
So
right.
I know I kind of went around in a circle, but did I answer your question?
Oh yes, you did. You did great.
Okay.
Don't worry. We're coming right back to you, so don't go anywhere.
Okay.
All right. I am going to introduce Miss Teneshia LaFaye. All right. Teneshia was a teen mom and she raised that child to become financially savvy with excellent credit and nearly 1 million saved invested at only 31 years old. His birthday was September 12th, so happy birthday. She has been in the financial industry for 19 years and has set up her youngest son and grandson, welcome to the Mimi Club, and her grandson to be a millionaire in their future. She loves putting together $1 million baby strategies for other parents and for grandparents using life insurance. So I know that you are super excited about being a new, I don't know if you want what name we're going with. Are we going with grandma? We're going with grandma, Mimi. What are we going with, Teneshia?
Grammy, because I always wanted a Grammy award for spoken word, like audio of my book, but I cheated because now I can just be called Grammy.
All right, Grammy. All right. So your icebreaker question, 1, 2, or 4?
I guess one.
All right. Okay, this is cool. And this is going to suit you great. In business, what makes a great leader?
What makes a great leader is do it first. You can't ask someone to do something that you're not willing to do. So you should lead from the front always.
All right, making a great leader, you got to lead from the front. I love it, love it, love it. All right, Teneshia, I know that you've been a fan of Million Dollar Baby prior to being a Grammy, but now that you're a Grammy, tell us a little bit about why you're on this crusade about Million Dollar Baby.
Well, gosh, if my grandfather, instead of buying me brand new cars every 3 to 4 years, imagine if he put that money away for me. I would have $1 million. I would have had $1 million very young rather than all these worthless brand new cars that, they're worthless, well, almost worthless as soon as you drive it off the lot. So, times are hard now. My generation X, we may not even get Social Security. We may or may not get it, but I know the upcoming generations are definitely not going to get Social Security. And people that get Social Security now, are like broke. They're at the federal poverty level. So I just think I wish I got a head start in life instead of new cars all the time and money to shop. I wish someone really would have set up my future. So our children and grandchildren really need someone to set up their financial future. So that's why Million Dollar Baby is so important. And what I love about Million Dollar Baby is tax free. They can access the funds tax free because as we learned a few weeks ago from our colleague Nick Mitchell, 81% of our assets are going to be taxed. So we can give them a nest egg that will never be taxed. Like what? So that's one of the things I love about it. And then also, they don't have to wait till they retire. Whereas with the 401k or IRA or whatever, they have to wait to 59 and a half. Well, if they need access to these funds before they're 59 and a half, they can access it without penalties. So, yep, that's what I like about Million Dollar Baby.
Love it, love it, love it. And just like why don't go anywhere, we're going to introduce our next panelist. All right. Let's see, do my little technology stuff over here. All right, Mr. Marico Walker. Marico Walker is a financial educator with Wealthwave. He is fully licensed with Life, Health, and Annuity, Series 6, Series 63, and Series 65. With over 15 years of experience, also he owns and operates a financial firm. One of his greatest passions is to intentionally cause others to grow, develop, and become more effective with their money by learning how money works. And all of us on this panel can certainly agree he is a component of helping others grow. All right, so Mr. Marico, you got 2 and 4. Which one we rolling with?
I guess number 4.
All right, number 4. Oh, wow. Okay, you have 3 days. You got 3 days, and you can go anywhere in the world with only 2 people. So where and why? Well, up to 2 people. Where and why?
I guess for me, I'm definitely going to include my wife as one of the individuals. I'm gonna say definitely if it's just 2 people, it's gonna be either my son or daughter. Probably take my daughter because she's the one that want to explore more. My son is in college now, so I probably say my daughter.
Okay.
So the 2 women is in my life. It is one of those things for me. I think from a place perspective, I'm a workaholic, so I'm not really I just got to go see a place, but I'm always thinking about where do my wife or family want to go and see. So it's really thinking about where's a place they may want to go, and it's like, okay, let's go do it.
All right, so where we going?
Wherever they want to go. It could be Jamaica, it could be Europe, it could be Greece. I would say probably Greece at this very moment.
Okay, all right, Greek, I like that. I'm a component of Blue Water, so anything with Blue Water, take me there. So we're talking about Life Insurance Awareness Month, Mariko, and so kind of talk to us a little bit about kind of what Ann said, a little bit about the stigma in the community, a little what Teneshia said about had we known better, we probably wouldn't be on this panel together. We would all be in Greece or in Europe or wherever we would be at this point. But knowing all the different things that the challenges, what could you tell us, and wherever you want to come from, about life insurance awareness? Why is that so important?
One of the, I guess, the words that's sticking out to me from what Ann talked about was trauma. And there are, I could consider financial traumas that we can face. I'm gonna give an example. I faced a financial trauma myself. One of them was 2008, being an automotive technician, taking care of my wife, taking care of my kids, single income household. We went through a global recession. Because I was illiterate, I wasn't saving, I wasn't using concepts like time value of money, wasn't using concept like compound interest or even the rule of 72. I was mostly just living life, spending, but not really saving. Got let go from my job thinking I was safe and I had a secure employment career. That didn't happen. All it took was one incident. And that 3 months, when they told me, Marico, you're going to get let go, dwindled down to $355. Now, can you imagine having a family and they're all looking at you and saying, where is the food? Right? We still got to have lights. That can create trauma. Well, think about that same feeling. Now, what life insurance is all about is protecting what matters most. Now, when I did some research, it said that 44% of people will have a financial impact within 6 months from the loss of a loved one. It said 57% of people will have a financial impact if they lost a loved one, and their money probably won't last no more than a year. When you lose a loved one, you have grief, but the thing that really matters most for that family is their income. So one thing that I'm on this crusade about is I don't want a family to feel what I felt from losing a job. I know what it feels not to have money and you still having to pay bills. You got a family, you still have bills, one income that can make an effect. So we got to think about what is the true objective of life insurance, protect what matters most, but that's not the only thing that life insurance can do. What I think is what a person have to do is think about what are their short-term, long-term goals. Give an example like Teneshia. Teneshia said that, man, what if my grandfather would have been giving me this money and it would have been compounding? I'd be a millionaire at a younger age versus, yes, she's still on her path of being a millionaire, but it just would have happened faster, right? So if somebody had a goal and they said, well, I want to be able to retire prior to 60 and I don't want to be penalized on my contribution withdrawals for income, well, I'm looking for a tool that can do that. Okay. And life insurance can provide a tool to grow money and use it as an income. Or even when it comes to extended care, what if I have a situation and I need, could be something for critical and chronic illness? What do I have in place for those situations? I become ill, or could be some major accident. Where's the money going to come from to provide the care of the things I used to do on my own? Or even when it comes to, I own a business.
Right.
And I need to get a loan for my business, and the creditors or the lenders looking for collateral. What do I use? Well, you can use an asset. Guess what life insurance is an asset. So I don't want somebody to think life insurance is only for death, but yes, that's the main reason. I got to protect what matters most. What matters most is my income. But every single time a person think about their goals, everyone's situation is different. And what can I use that's like a Swiss Army knife, depending on the person I sit down with or talk to, or a person have a goal, is life insurance. So we consider it a Swiss Army knife.
All right, let me put this disclaimer out here. Thank you, Marico. I mean, I got like a ton of questions. I can't wait to ask them. So let me put this disclaimer out here. We are financial educators, and we advise you all before you make any changes that you speak with your financial advisor, your financial educator, the person that give you your direction to do that first. Whether that's a professional or a trusted family member, but I highly recommend that you seek a financial professional. And we are not attorneys. Do have some good experiences that we want to share with you here today. And so we do ask before you make any changes that you make sure that you sit down with someone, because some of the ideas and concepts are going to sound great and they're going to seem fitting for you, but we want to make sure that you have done your assessment and that you have made sure that it is the right decision for you and your family. So Teneshia, so the next question that I have, and you guys can chime in by all means, the younger generation, you mentioned the Gen X. I don't even know what these names, I'm probably way up the ladder, but anyway. So for the Gen Xers or the younger generation, what's a good way, especially for me being a parent or an older person, what's a good way to have that conversation with them when they're young, when they're in their 20s or when they're in their 30s, they just got married? What's a good way to have that conversation about, hey, you need some life insurance?
Right. So basically, they don't want to think about death. And I talk to a lot of young people because my son, 31, all his friends are in their mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And then I have another son that's 20. They don't want to think about death. They don't want to think about money that they get to in their 60s. They're in the me generation. They want money now.
Ow.
So what you so what you have to explain to them is that you can have access to the money, if you pour so much in, like how much money would you like to have, access to in case something, major happened, or how much money would you like to have, for if you want to get a house or a business in 5, 10 years. And so then set a goal like that and let them know that they can put that money into the life insurance and have access to it. It's called overfunding. Because if they just pay the life insurance premium, they're not going to have access to a significant amount of money for like at least a decade or more. But if they overfund it, meaning they give you a budget, like I can put in 200 a month, even though the premium might only be 50, or I can put in 500 a month, even though the premium might only be 150. That means that the cash will accumulate faster so that they have access to that money within 24 months if something should happen. But we also recommend that they have an emergency fund, because your emergency fund should really be for short term. But that being said, I'm telling you, if you tell these kids that you're going to have 100 grand by the time you're 40 years old, they're not hearing it. But if you can tell them you'll have 100 grand in the next, 10 years, like I've sat down with a young man, he's a longshoreman. And so he's about to have more money than he's ever seen in his life at the age of 20 years old. And so I just showed him that if he saved $1,000 a month or 1,500 a month, something like that, it could grow to 100,000 in 10 years. And he wants to actually buy a house in another state. So he would have the money more than enough to put a down payment on the house. So that sounds good to him. Within 10 years, he'll have 100 grand, not in 30 or 40 years or whatever. So I think it's important to talk to them about short term, but you also need to let them know about long term too. But if you leave out the short term, you have lost them.
Any other tips, guys?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I'll just add to that, again, just coming from a wellness perspective, right? There's perception of invincibility, like with the young people, the healthier they are too, right? So there's a conversation in itself. Like Marico mentioned, time value of money. Doing this now while you're young is going to position you like never before, right? So I think, the mindset conflicts with, the wellness philosophies that encourage, being proactive and preventative, you know, when you because even the young people that we talk to, because I myself, I have a daughter who's 27, a son that's 23, and a son that's 19 going on 40. But but I have these conversations with them all the time. So like Teneshia is saying, sitting down and showing them what this could look like for them from a short-term perspective, but also from a long-term, because, like myself, missed out on a few years. And so the opportunity for me to pay it forward is, through my children. So I think there's that, again, that mindset conflict when it comes to young people and just having that conversation about life insurance. So they also need to know the importance of, their how valuable their age is, their health is, and why it's important for them to act now.
Good point. Good point. Marico, would you like to add anything to that?
For me, I'm always going to lean towards financial literacy. For someone, could be Gen Z, right? Teneshia mentioned that some have a mindset of short term, but all trying to get someone to think more long term. And I think the way we can do that is through education. Education has to be a very important component, because through education, if somebody don't have financial literacy, they always would think the now. They never would think long term. I just think about myself being 18, leaving Mississippi, going to Houston, Texas to go to school. There was countless opportunities to start saving and investing at 18. Give an example. One of the classmates I had, he was Caucasian. And I remember him looking at the newspaper. I remember him seeing the stocks. I remember him watching it. It was a curiosity, but it wasn't important. Why wasn't it important to me? Well, because in my household, it wasn't a conversation, right? Why was it not a conversation? It because my parents didn't learn how money works. Another opportunity presented itself to me. Here was another Caucasian, 65-year-old person. I was working at a dealership. It was Dodge Ram dealership in Houston, Texas, while I was going to school. And I remember him coming to me. He's 65 years of age. I remember where we were. I know the time of the day. I know how the sky looked in my mind when we were sitting on this bench. He said, Marico, I want you to sit down with my financial person, right? Because I think if you start early, man, Marico, you'll be better off, right? And guess what? He told me exactly what to do. I was young, right? Guess what I was thinking? I wasn't thinking long term. Guess what I was thinking? Short term, right? But hindsight, thinking about my 18-year-old self, man, if I could have just took that advice, implemented that advice, just reached out, or even the guy who was a classmate, hey, can you help me to understand what that means, right? Man, my life would be even better than what it is right now. Well, what's the root cause of that? Financial illiteracy. So when I'm talking to a young person, guess where I'm going to start at? Yes, I'm going to tell them my story, right? Because that's going to resonate. I don't want you to be in my situation. But guess what I'm going to do number two? Hey, I want to give you this How Money Works book. Hey, I want you to come to this How Money Works workshop. Hey, let's sit down and have a conversation. Hey, let me show you what this looked like. What does it really mean? What is the opportunity cost by not doing it? So that's what I think about when I think about a younger person.
And all three of you said the key word show. I think because we're in the technology phase and everything is technical, we have these devices, and I could even think about my kids. We would say they don't listen, they don't listen, they don't listen. And I think a lot of times parents or older financial educators forget we need to show them. Put it on paper, put it on I would say for them, put it on a screen, add a little music if you have to. Do what you got to do. Embrace the social media, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook. Be authentic, of course, but putting it in a way that they're going to listen, doing the things that's kind of outside of our comfort zone, something catchy, because the end goal, if you're trying to reach them, we got to reach them where they are. And they're not reading the newspaper. I'm sorry. My neighbor across the street, she still gets the newspaper. I'm like, dang, I didn't even realize they still had the newspaper. I saw somebody throwing it out. I was like, wow, the newspaper is still in existence. And so I think you guys said it, show. And so I guess this question I'll direct it to you, Marico, first. And we're saying show them, show them what it could be or what it, and telling them our stories. And that's another thing they like too. They like realness. They don't want to hear about something out of a textbook. They want to know, what did you walk through? How was it for you? What did that feel like? What happened? How did you arrive to where you are? They want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the fluff. So Marico, how do we even, Teneshia talked about, getting them to the conversation or what some of the things to say. What about the older people? And when I want to say older, more experience, because I'm almost in that.
Seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned, because I'll be 50 in 2 weeks. I don't want to use old anymore.
Right. I like seasoned.
I hear the hope, if we can get the young people to sit down, I pray that they just listen to us and see what we're trying to show them. So I'm working with a client. So I'm gonna give you the real scenario. I'm not gonna say the name. And his response to me was, I want to say maybe he's in his late 50s or early 60s, but he has a mindset even older than that. And I'm talking to him about the importance of protecting what matters, protecting your family, all that stuff. And his response to me was, they'll sort all that out when I'm gone. So give us some tips in case someone is watching this and they, they may not have younger kids. They may want to talk to their parent or grandparent about doing something so that the burden doesn't be on them. So how do we have a conversation with a person in that mindset?
I think for me, I'm always thinking about finding out what mattered most to them. I think that is very important to start there, because a lot of time, one of the things I think about is with this particular gentleman, he have a dream, right? And he's trying to get somewhere, and he feel like he's unprepared. He may feel like, I don't have time, or there is no hope. Why should I worry about when I pass away when I'm trying to think about the now and me trying to achieve my goal or my dream, right? So let's say, for instance, that individual, I don't know the situation of that individual, and I can't really say what to give because it depends on different factors. But when I think about, we're centered around Life Insurance Awareness Month, right? And we're talking about life insurance. Let's say, for instance, that person is a business owner and they're thinking about expanding, growing their business, right? And they may need finances to be able to be used to grow his business. So I'm not talking about his family legacy because that's not important to him. I'm talking about how they can use this tool to leverage when that lender asks for collateral.
Okay.
I'm solving two things. That person have a solution where they can save money that they can use to borrow, or they can use money when it comes to collateral. But guess what it's doing for their family? It solve what matter most. So I'm not talking about life insurance because I know I want to protect his income. Yes, I know he have a family, but I got to figure out what matter most. What is his dreams? What is he trying to do? And can this tool help him while helping his family and protecting his income? That's what I think about.
So it's so that's good, not just because we're so passionate. I know Teneshia, I can hear the passion when she talks, I can hear when Ann, Marico. So I hear that even though what we believe as financial educators should be the best or should be the solution or should be the thing that they should do, we still have to sit down and listen and hear the person that we're talking to. So kind of, any one of you can chime in on this one. How do someone that's watching who does not have a financial educator, but of course we're gonna offer us as reach out to us. I'll tell you how you can do that. But let's say in general, how do they select a financial educator? I mean, we got Google, we got Instagram, but how do we get the person to a real human being that they can sit down and ask all their questions to so they can get the specifics for their particular family needs? So, Teneshia, you want to start there? Like, what would be your advice on finding a financial educator?
Well, like you said, more than likely they know one of us. So they should talk to one of us. But if they don't know one of us, go to someone that handles their finances well that they know, someone they look up to, that they know is really good with their finances, and ask them if they have a financial advisor and who they would recommend. So
Oh,
that's what I would do. Ask someone that you look up to, who you respect, if they can recommend someone.
oh, that's cool. I like that. Come on, Miss Ann.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say is, if not one of us, right? Then someone that you trust that handles their money well and, ask them who they work with because people are afraid to ask for help. They really are afraid to ask for help. So that is why, I talk so much about it from the wellness perspective because a lot of the times it's emotional avoidance. People don't want to look. We just had this conversation the other day, not wanting to look to be seen in the wrong way, right? Not look stupid. They don't want to be shamed or their shame of their situation and just don't want to out themselves in that way. So this is what I love about how we all approach financial literacy is through education. Like it's so empowering. But yes, I agree with what Teneshia said about finding a financial educator.
I would like to add to it, Candy. Great answers. One of the things that I was thinking about as a way that you can find a person, I think it's more about the process. Give an example. If somebody's seeking out or trying to find somebody and they don't know one of us, and they're trying to find somebody that will help them, and they're about to sit down with that person or they are in front of that person, what I'm trying to figure out is, when I sit down with that person, are they trying to rush me into something?
Mm-hmm.
When I sit down with that person, is it, hey, this is what you should do before learning about my family situation, my financial situation, my goals? Hey, go ahead and get this particular policy or this particular account. I think it's process, meaning that a lot of us on this call right here or podcast, our process is when we sit down with somebody, we want to give them financial education before we even offer a solution. Why is that? Because if somebody have right information, they can make right decisions. And also, when they have right information, they're not skeptical about an account that sounds good. I'm talking about it will literally benefit them, but because they haven't heard of it before, they're skeptical. Man, this sounds too good to be true.
Right.
Right? So when you sit down with a person, did they give you something, literacy? Did they invite you to workshop? Are they willing to take the time and educate you about, if you're talking about life insurance, all the various types of life insurance available? If you're talking about an investment account, all the different types of options are available to you when it comes to an estate plan, what you're trying to avoid and why you need to do it. And did they actually sit down and do a budget with you, right? Did they assess, okay, this is what you're spending your money on, man. You're spending so much on eating out, or you're spending so much money on shopping. And if you just make this slight adjustment, you have it in your budget to do versus, because if I don't do it, I'm just offering something and it may not be the right thing I need to put in place for someone. So I will always suggest process when it comes to sitting and seeking somebody out and how they give you advice or try to offer you something.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. So our expert panel, thank you, Marico. Thank you,
Yeah,
Anthony.
great point. Great point.
So if you have questions, more questions, for any one of us, this is the information here on the screen. Marico Walker, you can follow him on Linktree at Marico Walker. Teneshia LaFaye, you can go to bit.ly /book Teneshia. Miss Ann McDowell, you can email her at Ann@Thrive in Rome. And you can take a picture of this screen. If I were you, I'd screenshot this, I'd take a picture of it, save it. If now is not the time, it will be a time for you to sit down with a financial educator and preferably one of us. We offer our services, of course, but even if it's not us, find somebody and to sit down and have the conversation with. And also, if you want to watch more of our podcast, more information, you can go to our website, martinbusinesssolutions.com, and there you can click on the Ask the Expert tab. And so what I want to do, I'm going to take a few more minutes just to give each one of our panelists, an opportunity to come and, have their final piece of information that they want to share with us. I know Ann, she talked about financial wellness. When I heard her talking, I thought about the person that has to make a decision if they're going to pay the light bill or buy the groceries. That is a level of stress that will cause the person to have health issues. No, I'm not a doctor, but I'm quite sure if most people had better finances, their health would be better because the stress would be less. Especially in our community and probably in all communities, but I know for us in our community, it's stressful when you don't have the means. Teneshia talked about being on that crusade with that $1 million baby. And no, we're not talking about the song. So there's another version of why we want to sit down with someone like Teneshia to talk about $1 million baby. Figure out what could we do to give our loved ones a better start than we had. Our parents and grandparents loved us. They just didn't have the education. So we love you and we got the education. So you should be in a much better position than we were. So sit down and find out, what is $1 Million Baby all about? Instead of buying XYZ for these grandkids, because they don't need any more toys, and I know they got a lot of clothes. Let's talk about putting something in place for them while they're young, while they're at their healthiest and at their youngest, that can benefit them long term. Trust me, they might think they want that new toy, but I promise you, there's going to be a better toy that they're going to want when they're 60. It's going to call it a paid off house. It's a great toy to have.
Right.
So trust me, they'll appreciate it. Marico talked about the different types of life insurance, not just getting something, oh, I got to get something, put it in place. You haven't done any research. You haven't asked any questions. You want to have something put together, tailor-made for you and your family. So you want to sit down with someone that's knowledgeable, that has integrity, someone that you can trust, and someone who can give you some options. I mean, I don't know about everybody on this panel, but I know as ladies, we like options. Is it going to be red or blue? I mean, we just want options. Even if it's only going to be this one thing, we still want to know that there's another option. So you want to sit down with someone that's going to hear you out, that's going to give you the honest information, because as Ms. Ann said, we don't need to sugarcoat anything. We need to just pull the Band-Aid off and deal with it. And Teneshia even mentioned how don't depend on Social Security or your job even per se to take care of you. Nobody else is coming to save you. It's up to you to save you and your family. And so we want to make sure that we're putting things in place, having those conversations with younger people. For us, more seasoned people, we can't just talk at them. We have to sit down and talk to them, give them the information that they need. And so we just want to make sure that, and of course, we couldn't give you all of the information in this time. So we're doing the best that we can, and we ask that you do share it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow each panelist to give us their, final remarks or some piece of information that they want to share with us. So we'll start in the way that we started. So we'll go with Ms. Ann, Ms. Teneshia, and then we'll finish with Mr. Marico, and then I'll come back with my last little bit as well. All right, Ms. Ann.
I mean, the biggest, I would say, just take action, regardless of where you are and how you feel about it. Just take action. There's always a solution. For even the toughest of situations, there's always a solution. So get educated, reach out to one of us, or find someone that you trust in your community, but take action. That's the biggest thing.
I like that. I like that because we've heard a lot of great information today, but if we
Yes.
don't take action, then it was all for nothing. So yeah, thank
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. One other thing too, like when we think about life insurance, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced this as professionals, and this goes back to what Mariko said about just the education piece, right? Is misinformation and complexity, right? Oftentimes when people are sold life insurance,
Mhm.
they're sold this complex product that they don't fully understand because the education didn't come first, right?
Got
So
it.
many people don't fully understand how life insurance works, for the long-term benefits, and what it can offer. So that is, you know, to say the least, why the education piece of it is so important. But once you have that knowledge, right? They say knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that's power. We've got to take action.
Right. Got to take action.
All right, so I agree with Ann. Like, I was meeting with a client a couple of nights ago. She reached out to me to change her beneficiaries, and I noticed that she had term insurance, but her kids had two IULs. And so talked about the benefits of the IUL, and she wanted it. And then I actually went through the illustrations with her to figure out her budget and what she wanted as far as cash value. And most financial advisors do not do that. They do not sit there with the client and actually put together the illustration while the client is watching. They do something like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. And then, like, here are your options. So she liked that I actually did her options while I was in front of her. And she just kept thanking me and thanking me and thanking me. So yeah, so I think that's important what Ann said. Also, Ann was talking about take action because yeah, procrastination is one of the worst nations to be in. And that's what people do. They just procrastinate. They put stuff off what they can do today. And what the advice that I wanted to give is it doesn't matter how much money you make if you don't keep any of it. Like I read a statistic a few years ago of people that make $250,000 a year, and only 20 something percent of them actually have an emergency fund. So majority of them just blow their money. So again, I say it doesn't matter how much money you make if you don't keep any of it. So it's very important to pay yourself first. What people do is the opposite. They pay everyone else first. They pay the restaurant, the clothing stores, just everything, the subscriptions, the phone, the electric bill, the rent, all that. Then they look and see what's left over, and then they try to save. Well, usually there's nothing left over, and they
Right.
wonder why they can save. So you don't want to get to the end of your life and think, gosh, I had all this money and I have nothing to show for it. So you definitely don't want to have that situation. So always learn to pay yourself first.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Because if you
Pay.
save your money, one day your money will be there to save you.
Yes. Yes. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm writing all those down. And
Yeah.
I play. All right, Mr. Marico, what is the wisdom?
For me, I'm always thinking about someone. Uh, I would say everyone have goals and everyone have dreams. And whenever you are thinking about your goals and dreams, you got to think about planning for the unexpected. What if I die too soon? What if I live too long? And what if I become ill? What do I have in place that'll help me plan for that? Going back to one of the statistics that I used earlier, there's 333 million people in the United States, and 57% of them will feel some type of financial impact within 1 year of the loss of a loved one. So what do I have in place for that? There are many type of dream killers. Here's what I mean by that. There are physical dream killers, meaning that there are things like I can become chronically ill. I can become critically ill. these are some of the things that can happen physically. What do I have in place that plan for the unexpected? There are things like financial dream killers, things like inflation. Inflation is something that is a silent thing that we don't see, but we go to the grocery stores, we fly on airplanes, we buy cars, and we feel the financial impact of that market going up, and it could be going down. That can create a dream killer. It could be even environment. What I mean by environment, I'm thinking about a life emergency. Something happened to my family, even something emergency happened to me financially. What do I have in place that will plan for the unexpected, right? So I'm thinking about even lasting personal. Personal means that we touched on this all throughout when it comes to education. If I don't have the right information, I really can't plan for the unexpected. So I'm always trying to learn how money works. So there are things that we just got to plan for. I would just say, start with knowledge, grab a book, go to a class, sit down with somebody that will give you education, think about your goals and dreams, and have somebody help you come up with a plan and start putting things in place. Love what everybody said.
All right, and I encourage all of you to take a picture of the screen again to get their contact information. If you would like a book, a digital book or a physical book, so that you can start your financial education journey, reach out to one of us. We will get you the book at no cost. So we're not asking you, we want to help you get financially educated. Just reach out to us. And so I want to thank each one of my panelists. You guys are awesome as always. I just had to maintain my composure. So I'm super excited. I know each of you in different ways. And I honor your time, and I thank you for coming on and speaking to our audience here at Martin Business Solution. You can follow us on YouTube, and there you will find more financial education episodes. And join us next week. We have a special guest that's going to come on. We're gonna end this Life Insurance Awareness Month. The next 2 episodes are just going to be just awesome. I do ask that you take this podcast and you share it. If you're having a difficult time having a conversation with a family member, let us do the talking for you. If this is something that you want to go back and take more notes, feel free to watch the replay. But we do encourage you to take some form of action. We do encourage you to reach out to the younger generation. And we do encourage you to know that there is hope. No matter where you are financially, you can start today. Trust me, we kind of touched a little bit on our different stories and different situations, but I promise you, if we had the opportunity to start over, you have the opportunity too, because I know each of us we can tell you a story or two about financial struggles and financial pitfalls and mistakes and woulda, shoulda, coulda, or I shoulda did this. I mean, it's just, but guess what? There's hope. And it starts with financial education, sitting down with somebody that you trust. We offer us as well, but sitting down with someone that you trust, and then just paying it forward. When you learn better, you do better, and share it with someone else. Trust me, there's someone waiting for someone to help them. And if you would like to learn about how you can link arms with us and actually, do this, on a more, I don't know how to put it, if you can do what we do as well. We offer the education as well, where you can sit down with us and learn how to become a financial educator. We would love to have you partner with us as well. So that will conclude our episode for today. This is Candy Martin from Martin Business Solution, and we have just concluded Ask the Expert, a conversation around life insurance awareness. Thank you all for being with us on today. And don't forget, like, follow, subscribe, comment, share.